Japan's battleships and cruisers will steam north toward Leyte from Singapore. The warships will split into two groups, one force sailing through the Sulu Sea and Surigao Strait and approaching Leyte Gulf from the south. The other half sailing through the Sibuyan Sea and San Bernardino Strait and coming down on Leyte from the north.
They have a southern and a northern pincer composed of battleships and cruisers that will hopefully meet up off of the island of Leyte and there crush the invasion convoys.
When Japanese and American forces collide, the numbers of ships involved and the hundreds of miles separating major battle areas will distinguish the struggle for Leyte Gulf as the largest naval battle in the history of mankind. Now, on the morning of October 24th, 1944, the American landing on the island of Leyte has been underway for 4 days. Resistance from Japanese ground forces on Leyte has been minimal, due in large part to bombardment by 7th Fleet battleships. 25-year-old Oregonian Ken Peck is a gunnery officer.
Every time there was a new operation, you'd soften them up for a while with bombings, and then you'd hit them. And they softened that up for a long time. So when they landed at Leyte, I don't think it was too much interference or too much opposition.
Japanese naval forces are rushing toward Leyte to stop them. As men and equipment flow ashore, 60 miles off the eastern coast of Leyte, William F. Halsey's 3rd Fleet, including USS Enterprise, has been sending out search planes, like the 28 planes sent toward the Sulu Sea this morning, to keep an eye out for approaching warships. Richard Hart, also a gunnery officer, hails from West Virginia.
We knew the Japanese fleet had left its anchorage, and we had submarines out who did a very good job in keeping track of it, giving us advance warnings.
Indeed, 25 hours ago, American submarines USS Darter and USS Dace launched torpedoes at the Japanese center force.
These subs are scouting off the southern tip of Palawan. And they managed to actually hit and sink 2 heavy cruisers.
Since this contact, Admiral Halsey has stepped up scouting flights from Enterprise and her sister carriers. The flight that headed south of Enterprise this morning, led by Commanders Emmett Riera and Fred Bakatus, discovered the Japanese Southern Force, one half of the intended pincer action against Leyte. The Southern Force is under the command of Vice Admiral Shoji Nishimura. 55-year-old Nishimura ably commanded the 7th Cruiser Division in the Guadalcanal campaign, bombarding Henderson Field and inflicting heavy damage. Now, thanks to Riera's Helldivers, 2 of the battleships in the Southern Force are wounded. The Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver is a fearsome attack aircraft. Its impressive top speed of 294 miles per hour is made possible in part by its internal bomb bay. Carrying large bombs internally prevents wind drag. The bomber is armed with two 20mm wing-mounted cannons and two 30-caliber machine guns in the rear cockpit. And while the hits Riera's Helldivers have scored on the Southern Force battleships have resulted in fires, the flames are quickly extinguished, and neither warship is out of the action. The Hellcat fighters have made rocket hits on the cruiser and the destroyers, but damage is minimal, and those vessels also remain on course. Commander Fred Backetus's Hellcat, on the other hand, has become a casualty. And shortly after radioing that he's losing oil and that he's ditching, his plane tears into the water. Backetus is lucky and survives the impact. He scrambles out of his aircraft just as it begins to sink.
Backetus is able to survive his water landing. He's able to deploy his tiny life raft. More importantly, his friend, Emmett Riera, who is in command of the Helldivers, is able to get into a position where he can drop Backetus a larger life raft.
Commander Riera carefully plots Backetus's position before leading the Enterprise planes back to the mothership. Meanwhile, 300 miles northwest, in the Sibuyan Sea, the Japanese Center Force is also steaming toward Leyte. This force comprises 5 battleships, 7 heavy cruisers, 1 light cruiser, and 13 destroyers. And it's with this attack fleet that the monster battleships Yamato and Musashi are present. Both vessels pack 18.1-inch guns and are designed to sustain a staggering level of punishment. These ships represent the heart of the enemy's main effort. Spotted by scout planes earlier. Now, at 10:30 a.m., the Center Force comes under attack from American bombers. They are aircraft from 2 other carriers in Admiral Halsey's task force. USS Intrepid and USS Cabot.
Helldivers and Avenger torpedo planes from USS Intrepid and USS Cabot swoop into this Japanese task force. They score hits on a cruiser and 3 battleships, including the mega battleships Yamato and Musashi.
The monster warships absorb the hits in stride and maintain speed. But a second wave of planes from Intrepid, along with aircraft from USS Essex and USS Lexington, soon arrives and concentrates its attack on Musashi. The gutsy pilots brave a sky torn with flak